I remember when I started streaming, it was because I wanted to talk originally. I want to learn how to communicate with people and learn how to be more confident that I have a voice, right? And then over time, people start asking questions, and it feels like people actually wanted to know how I felt. You didn't just want to know how it was. Like, you want to know how I felt and the situation and everything. And then I was like, wait, well, now I'm curious. What do you think about it? And then people tell me their opinions. And I'm like, wait, that's so weird. I would never see it that way. And then a conversation happened and it's 5 hours have gone by. And I'm like, whoa, it's been 5 hours. That's crazy. That's why I started becoming, I wanted to do streaming because I used to also have a stutter. That's another thing. I used to have a really bad stutter. Sometimes when I get embarrassed, it still comes out. And I also want to be like, oh, stutters are fine,
when
but
first starting off,
no.
do you think it feels like responding to text messages where you have more time to think about your response, which helps eventually build up your ability to yap? For example, MMOs taught me how to team lead since you gotta get people working together.
I think when I first started it didn't feel like reading text messages. For me, it never felt that way. But halfway through, one of my biggest I'm afraid of it was the fact that okay, maybe this is also why I see chat as people. So when people say stuff, right, I see it as like someone actually saying it, So then I kind of freeze up sometimes. Like that's when I started streaming. That was how I felt. Because sometimes when people are like, oh, this is my opinion, I imagine it as someone is sitting down explaining it to me. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm so bad at responding. I still remember this when I first started streaming. I was so bad at responding chat. I was like, oh, what do you think? And then someone would tell me their opinion. I'm like, oh shit, no one has actually done this before. So what do I do? So I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't know what to say. But now I understand to be I actually know how to verbalize that I'm interested. And that is cool, right? But back then I was just like, oh, I don't come from a yappy family.
Important advice for anyone who gets into streaming: make sure to save and pay taxes if you make any money.
True.
I have family who were mildly successful streamers and they got hit with 80k USD in back taxes because they didn't realize they needed to pay the mom. Oh, well, there's your problem. We're not people. We're all just robots / clones.
I knew it.
Essentially slightly better chatbots. Really?
No way.
Just ignore us.
No way, guys. I knew it. Every time chat says the same thing, I knew it. God, the program must be beep boop robot. What the chat? The name of the emote is Mr. Destructoid? Shut the hell up, man. You spilled our secrets. Why is it named Mr. Destructoid? The is that? You just noted that. I am bot. Beep boop. Okay, chat. Oh, I knew it. God, maybe I can program you guys to praise me more. Oh, maybe. I'm gonna hacker mans right now. That's another thing. Holy, I don't act this way. I used to never act this way. It's weird.
Michi, we're not lying to you. I mean, have you never noticed the lamp looks a little weird?
No, please. Not the lamp, please. No, ever since I knew about the lamp copy pasta, I am now so scared of specific lamps. I do not want to get a red lamp. That scares the shit out of me. Hi, Michi. It's me, your only viewer. I knew it. Is it really you, Johnny?
Hi Michi, it's me, your only viewer. For months I have created the illusion that you are streaming to a large audience. But here's the truth, all these people in the chat are me. And now, for you to be convinced of this, I will send this message from all my accounts.
Oh, hi, Froggy! Everyone is actually secretly just Froggy. I knew it. I knew it. It's always been you, Froggy Lodge. Thank you for supporting me, Froggy. I knew it. I didn't know how many accounts you have until today. Caught. But I love this Froggy emote. What the Froggy emote gets to me, dude, because it actually is so cute the whole time. So that's why when you were off from streaming and you were at a convention, I had nobody in chat. I knew it. That's crazy. But dude, you know something? Something that I picked up because I started streaming is caught. It's true. No way. One thing that's weird. I talk while smiling and I can hear it. You know what I mean? That sounds so sad, but it's not sad. I don't talk while I smile. You know, most of the time when I talk on like off stream when I was still working, I talk. I can't even do it anymore. I guess I talk like this. It's still happy, like I'm still fine, but you can definitely hear that there's no like. If I were to also use energy on it, you can also still hear that there is energy behind it, but you also don't. You can hear that there's no smile on my face. You know what I mean? Even though this is me with the same amount of energy, the only thing that's different is I have a smile. Now I have a smile. Now it sounds like this. So that's also another thing that I picked up because I started streaming. Because back then, you don't really talk, right? Like, it's not that you're soulless, but what is there to smile about, you know? Like, what is there? Like, what am I supposed to say? So most of the time, chat, before I was streamer, I was a full-time fashion worker. My day goes like, I wake up hungover. And to cure my hangover, I do whatever I need to do. And I do the whole day, hopefully semi-sober. Not too crazy to the point that you can't work, but being sober is just impossible, right? So then now you're kind of just zooted, but semi-zooted the whole day. And then you work for around 19 hours. And then if you can go home, then go home and go to bed. But if you can't, then just sleep at the office. And I have slept in the office multiple times. There were times I would sleep in the toilet. I still remember this. You know how gross it is, but like at that point, you just gotta do it. 19, no joke, 19. Especially during March. Wait, not March. January. Let me think of the months. Oh my God. I'm like remembering the hard months. January, April, February, March, April, May, June, July, August-ish, September, and then November. Those are like the tougher months because those are deadline months, right? Your shit's gotta be done in like 2 weeks. And at that point, you work for longer. So are you even a germaphobe back then? I was a little bit, but not as bad. It got worse after the pandemic for me. But back then, I was so tired, bro. I would sleep under the desk. I would sleep on the floor. I would sleep in the bathroom sometimes. There was a time, what I do is I would sit on the floor and I would put my head on top of like the toilet. Like I would put the toilet down and I would sleep on top of the toilet like cover because you get really sick. Like there were times I was like dying, but I still had to work. Or not, you don't get paid, right? Like you're sick, you need money to get better. How do you get money? From work. So then what do? Just work, because if you don't work, you don't have money and you can't get better. So sleeping on top of the toilet is better because if I need to vomit, just open the lid, close it. So it's like close, you know, I don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna go. Like it's like you're sleeping and you're like, oh, I feel sick. Bleh! And then you close it and then you sleep more. That happens. You get paid when you're sick, no? What an interesting to say. What an interesting thing to say. Well, paid sick leave. Oh, chat, you crack me up. You know what's the best thing? The funniest thing ever, guys? Oh, you funny man. You with your funny man words. You get paid a flat rate as an employee, but the flat rate can't even pay your rent. So what do? You get paid through other means, which is usually like commission rates, right? Like if you get a deal or if you did a good job, the bonus pay. Now the bonus pay is how you survive. How do you do bonus pay? You work. It doesn't matter if you're sick. It doesn't matter if you do nothing. As long as you get your job done, you get paid. But what happens when the work piles up? Yes, there's a commission, incentive, bonus, everything piles up, and that's how you pay your bills. So technically, yes, you can take the day off as long as you can finish your work by the deadline. Most of the time, even if you're healthy, 7 days a week, every day, you barely have enough time to finish the deadline. I'm a be real with you. And I also did like side jobs too because I wanted to have savings, right? So I also did side jobs and everything. It was fun. Don't get me. It was fun, but goddamn, it was exhausting. Where's your annual leave? Oh, you know what happens? Holy. So I don't know if this is common in your country, but in my country, we do have like a week. Well, not a week. 3 days. Usually, it's like Saturday, Sunday, and the 3 days are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you have 5 days, and then at that point, they extend it in a week. But during that week, you get paid week off. But in my past job, instead of you getting the days off, they offer to pay you more, but you continue working because, well, the show must go on, right? Yeah, national holidays. So instead of you actually taking a break, what they do is they pay you more and you stay. And when I say they pay you more, they usually give you half of your monthly salary, which is at that time really good for me, right? But it only happened once a year. So yeah, you basically get paid like half your salary, which is still good, but you don't get breaks. No. My breaks are Sunday. I get Sundays off if I get my job done. Usually Sundays are just I work at home. I work from home. That's like the easiest thing. It's good because I can sleep on a bed. So I take those. But that's my life before I was streaming. So I'm gonna be real with you, chat. If streaming didn't work out for me, I would probably have been back. Like the plan for me originally was I would stream as a hobby. This was also during the pandemic when shit was going a bit tough and everyone was working from home. So I was like, all right, I'll just do it from home, you know? What's there to really lose? So I thought that after the pandemic is done, I'll just stop streaming and go back to my regular job. So if streaming didn't work out for me, I would be dead by now. I am so sure I would be dead by now. Because with the way we were all spiraling, it's a downhill road from there, man. Like when I say it's like, oh, no, most of the time you're not really sober, right? Don't say that. Yeah. Not a lot of people were the most sober. A good amount of my friends now are genuinely just addicted to substances, man. They're like barely people, you know? They work really well, but having a conversation with them is insane. Like they're just like, oh, there's this, there's that. Oh yeah, there's this. And like, you don't even know what, like, ngelantur, apa sih? What is ngelantur in English? It's like when you talk to someone and it sounds like they're just drifting, you know? Like, the way they talk is like this, and then, oh, like this, oh, that's how they talk. Yeah, it's like days, like mumbling days. It makes no sense. And most of the time, it's like, they like what they do, but they can't even see the beauty in it anymore. It adds to it. Everything piles up, right? Dude, most of the time, I was burnt out for like years, but I still gotta produce. That's why when people are like, oh, you don't have to be like drunk, right, to do your job. You don't. You really don't. But at one point, you're gonna be very, very burnt out. And when you're working a job like that, you can't afford to be burnt out because you need to produce. In fashion, you produce every 3 months. Every 3 months, you need to come up with a collection according to the trend, the foreseeable trend, the forecasted trend, the demands, the location, and also the theme. So that's a lot of shit you gotta make. And at one point, you don't have it in you. You know, you've done everything. Like you've done everything that's cool. You've done everything that is different. What the can you do, you know? Just get drunk. You come up with better that way. That's also why when I'm like, yeah, chat, sometimes I produce when I'm like medicated. And it's not even that bad, but I produce when I'm medicated. Yeah, I feel like that's like a subconscious habit. Subconsciously, it helps, you know, like not really thinking about too much. You just, ooh, can you show anything? I can't. I would dox myself if I did. Because, yeah, I would dox myself if I showed anything. But I'm proud of it. I don't hate the I've done. And you know something crazy? 80% of the things I've made, I don't even own anymore. Welcome to fashion, chat. People, like when you do art stuff, when you create like paintings or music, you can copyright that. In fashion, nothing is copyrightable aside from your brand. You can copyright your brand, but the clothes you make, the shit you invent, not copyrightable. Unless they're like buttons or like hooks. If you invent like accessories, yes. Looks, no. And that's normal because copyright is a long, expensive, well, not expensive, but it costs money and it's a long process, right? Every 3 months, you make 40 looks head to toe, which is usually 80 to 95 pieces of clothing. Imagine having to copyright 80 to 95 pieces of clothing once every 3 months. That's just impossible. Like a company's gonna go broke from that. So fashion, any fashion brand, they don't copyright their looks. They really don't. Unless they want to start a lawsuit, then probably the big brands do copyright specific looks. For example,
Thanks,
you know the
Aaron
brand
_
Zara?
Steele.
It's so much. It is. That's also why fashion is the... If you think fashion saves the world, it really doesn't. The fashion waste has always been one of the biggest issue.